It, okay, so with all this land, what was it like growing up on all this property? What'd you do as a little girl?
As a little
Because
girl,
you
I,
were only child, but you must have had a lot of cousins and stuff
well,
around.
my uncle married Miss Adolia. They met from Maurice.
Uh huh.
They had 3 children.
Uh huh.
That
About your
that
age.
they were. I was the oldest.
Uh huh.
The next one in line was Shirley Savoie
Mm-hmm.
Saunier,
Uh huh.
and she was 4 years behind me. And after Shirley came a brother,
Mm-hmm.
and he was like 2 years behind her, and that was Loris Savoie Jr. And after him, another 2 or so years was the youngest daughter, was Laura Savoie Carlin. And Shirley was, like I said, 4 years after me.
Was she like a
So,
sister to you?
yes, all three of these kids
Mm-hmm.
we were raised together,
Mm-hmm.
you might say. Now, my mom and dad, after a few years after I was born, my grandfather built a house for them where the old plantation house was.
Okay.
So I grew up actually in this house, but I was more so at the family house, which was my grandmother and grandfather's house in the back, and we always played together.
Mm-hmm.
I started school first, of course, at 4 years after that. Shirley started, and then the rest. But we grew up together, and we all lived together here on this estate.
Did you have chores?
Yes, I don't quite remember when my mother started having me do house chores. It mostly house, clean the floors. It was hardwood floors.
Mm-hmm.
We had to use a brush,
Mm-hmm.
a hand brush, to
Uh-huh.
clean the floor. And after it was dry, wax.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean,
It's
it
a
was
lot of
shine.
work, huh?
It's a lot of work. And when I was old enough, I used the old tub, the round tub outdoors
Uh-huh.
with the scrub board
Yeah.
and wash clothes on the scrub board. And we had another tub that we would rinse the clothes from.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had to go hang the clothes on a clothesline.
Yeah.
There were no dryers, there were no washing machines. Our first washing machine was, what did they call them? They had the
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. My mom actually had one of those
yeah,
where you
they had the
run it
rotary.
through and,
Yes,
and
you'd
squeeze it out.
You'd run them through. You'd wash them, then you'd run them through these rollers
Mm-hmm. To get the water out. Yeah.
Yes, that was easier than the scrub board, I can tell you.
Yeah.
And
You must have thought you'd won the lottery or something.
oh yes,
Yeah.
my daughter inherited my mama's house. I couldn't live in two houses when we moved here. Take care of my parents. I knew I was the only child.
Mm-hmm.
I had to take care of them. As they got older. So after 30 years in Lafayette, I'm going back to the 30 years. We built a house here on the hill,
Mm-hmm.
and when my mom and dad started getting sick, Mama couldn't cook much anymore. I brought them in this house,
Mm-hmm.
and they had all this downstairs for them.
Mm-hmm.
And my husband and I slept in the back room,
Yeah.
and they slept there.
Uh-huh.
And we built a bathroom for them. When they moved here, we didn't have a bathroom back there. Well, we built a bathroom at the end of at the end of this big room, and that was their bathroom
Mm-hmm.
to use. So they lived here almost 10 years
Oh,
that I
wow.
took care of them. My husband and I, my children helped.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, we would go on every Thursday. We'd go have our mental health support group,
Mm-hmm.
and if my parents needed, my daughter was there to come and check on them. And after a time, my mother got sick,
Mm-hmm.
and in '06,
Mm-hmm.
she passed away. And a month
So
later,
that was 1 year after your grandmother.
a year after her mother died. Yes, she was the only living child
Mm-hmm.
after My uncle passed away in '89, I believe, in '98.
Tell me your mom's name again.
Eloise.
Eloise. Okay.
And her sister's name was Elise.
Elise.
Mhm.
Pretty.
And I wanted my daughter to name my second granddaughter Emily Elise, but she went with Emily Ann.
Oh well. Yeah.
So that was her choice. But anyway, I remember I used to play, I guess before, no, that was after my cousins were there. I used to play a lot under the house.
Oh.
Because in those days, the pylons, they call them,
Right.
were at least 3 feet high.
Right.
I could walk under there when
Uh-huh.
I was little.
Yeah.
And I played a lot under the house.
What kind of games or what?
Well, by myself. It was in the dirt.
You'd build things
I
or
built
cook with
things,
like
kinda
little
like you do
mud
on
pies.
the beach.
Uh-huh.
You know,
Yeah.
do trails and whatever. And I had little dolls that I would bring down and play under the house a lot.
Oh, that's
and,
nice.
Yeah. And
What do you remember most about how your parents parented you?
they were very strict,
Mm-hmm.
for one thing.
Uh-huh.
And never went anywhere without taking me.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it was visiting or going to a movie or even going to a dance hall.
I heard there was a movie theater in Youngsville.
There was
What was the name of it? Do you remember?
TU's.
How
I
do you-
think it was initials, but I don't.
Like the letter T and the letter U?
Right. It was
TU's.
TU's.
Uh-huh.
And it was. Let's see, where they have this place with the closed gates.
Oh, yes, that subdivision?
No.
Closed
That's
gates.
on Church Street.
Okay. Uh-huh.
On the corner, on the very corner there. Let's see.
There's that car wash.
There's the car wash,
Uh-huh.
and then there's a street
Mm-hmm.
on the next corner.
That's Jacques Street, right?
Yes,
Okay.
on the on that corner, east of the west of the car wash.
Uh-huh.
West of the car wash. This building used to be the drugstore.
That was
There's
Farmer's Drugs, right?
Farmer's Drugs, way back.
Right.
And it was run by Sexton Como,
Mm-hmm.
whose father was the doctor in
Right.
Youngsville.
Right.
And when he retired, stop, hey, enough. That's my little dog.
Yes.
When he retired, let's see, Merrill David
Mm-hmm.
took over the
Mhm.
drugstore. And a few years later, he moved the drugstore from the corner to next door.
Mm-hmm.
And next door to that was where David Funeral Home was.
Right.
That's where it's gated.
Mm-hmm.
You know that area?
Mm-hmm.
Little girl, come to me. And, okay, where was I now?
The drug. So
Drugstore.
where the theater was.
Where the theater was is where that building that is gated.
Okay. I know exactly what you're talking
Right.
about. I think it was a massage place at one time.
Yes,
even.
I think so.
Yeah.
And
But they tore the theater down.
no, they tore the inside, I believe. I don't believe they rebuilt, but it was turned into a funeral home.
Oh, okay.
After all the inside was taken out, it was kind of remodeled in
Uh-huh.
a way, but it wasn't torn down that I remember.
Okay, sorry.